Don't do this when selling a comic book. The 9.8 pre-sale sold for under $15.
I don't care if the movie sucks. This is the type of book that is just way too cheap. You know what? They're just going to have to think you're crazy.
Do you think I'm crazy, comic fan? Let me know in the comment section below, because I think number 10 on the list is Undervalued, criminally. Number 10 on the list, Captain America 117, the first appearance of Sam Wilson from 1969. This book is selling for too cheap. I do not care if the movie is not out yet. The day of this filming, it is officially released. We'll see how bad the movie is. I don't think it's going to be as bad as people suspect, but the prices still don't make sense to me.
122% increase in copies sold this week. We're talking about an $800 average and a recent high sale of a CGC 9.4 for $2,550. But when you can get really respectable grades of this book for $500 to $600, it's too undervalued. I don't care if the movie sucks. This is the type of book that is just way too cheap.
This is borderline Silver Age. It's a 15 center, 9.0. 12-month average, $847.
I have a friend who got a copy of this book from another local shop, took it home. It was a double cover. That shop didn't even open and look at the book. They just don't care about this key. But you know, Anthony Mackie has absolutely been killing it as Falcon for almost a decade now. And when you watch the Falcon Winter Soldier show, it was so good. I'm really looking forward to this movie, and more people need to care about this book.
Are you going to see Brave New World this weekend? Let me know in the comment section below, and while you're down there, hit the subscribe button. We make this trending list video every single week. Number 9 on the list is Fantastic Four 25. This is a double key. The 5.5s last sold this month for $362. We see a high 9.2 sale this month for $3,000. This book is horrendously difficult to acquire in high grade. We have two big things happening. Well, one is on the cover, Thing versus Hulk. This is the first time this happened in full. Although they briefly fought in Fantastic Four number 12, this is that major key moment for these two characters squaring off. And also, this is the second appearance of Captain America in the Silver Age.
Considering the first Silver Age appearance of Captain America is in Avengers number 4, and that is a very expensive book, this is kind of that little consolation prize, but it's still a really big book that is tough to acquire in any grade.
I can totally see this happening. Thing versus the Hulk. And then you also have the Captain America keyworthiness, which makes it relevant specifically this week with Brave New World debuting this weekend.
So while the Captain America spec is kind of a flash in the pan, the Hulk versus Thing fight, that is really long-term spec worthy. And while we're probably not going to see the Hulk showing up in the Fantastic Four movie, we do have Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars on the horizon where we will be seeing all of these worlds colliding, and that's a great opportunity to have the Thing fight the Hulk.
An increase of copies sold of 350%. Hell, they brought Hulk into Deadpool Wolverine to homage Hulk 340. If they can do that, they can definitely do Thing versus Hulk.
Now, this next book on the list got me really excited because speaking of worlds colliding, Fantastic Four number 28 is where the X-Men meets up with the Fantastic Four for the first time. And then I read the rest of the number and saw, no, this is the brand new Fantastic Four number 28, which is the Peach Momoko cover with Galacta on it, holding Jeff the Shark, selling solidly for $15 average.
I thought we were going to be talking about the Mad Thinker for a second, but you're right. We have Galacta on the cover, Peach Momoko. This is the Marvel Rivals variant, and I think this variant in particular came out at possibly the worst time. Not for Marvel. Marvel killed it with this one. The first couple, I think, went under the radar, but then stores were primed and ready to go ham on this book, and they ordered a ton of these. We actually encourage people to possibly hold off buying for a little bit, and I think the prices are proving us correct, because $15 averages on a book. Hell, look at this pre-sale. Someone pre-sold a 9.8, but they put it on auction. Don't do this when selling a comic book. The 9.8 pre-sale sold for under $15.
That is crazy. That's half of what it costs to get the Thing graded. And really, auctions, sure, if you need to move a book fast, put it on auction. But realistically, you're not going to get anywhere near the price you're looking for.
An increase of copies sold of 338% because I suspect so many copies exist that people are now able to get them easily, and they're getting them for cheaper than they did on initial drop. We reported on $25 sales happening galore, and you can go and find this book for $10 or less. However, I do see a lot of sales buy it now for $20, which tells me people aren't looking. Keep up on the hunt. don't overspend.
Join the mystery mail call this month because we're about to make another Mark Spears announcement.
That's right. We got another banger. Last month, everybody got a Mark Spears variant limited to 900. This month, everyone's going to be getting another Mark Spears variant limited to 900. ThunderCats 13. Mark Spears doing Lion-O. ComicTom.com. Secure your box. We sold out quick last month, and it's going to happen again. I want to spike this next comic book. Someone's going to get upset with me, but it's selling for too damn cheap, and the book is too freaking awesome. We have Daredevil 227. We have Frank Miller. Daredevil Born Again begins here. This is a great historical moment for the creative team, but the book on the inside is so superb. The art is so dynamic. It won an award back in the 80s.
Back in 1986, when this book won the Kirby Award for the best single issue, every single person knew how big it was, how major it was, and how awesome it was to be able to see the team up of Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli, who had just come off of doing Batman Year One and doing this Daredevil series. Well, Kingpin finds out Matt Murdock's secret identity, and all hell goes loose. Frank Miller tells one of the best Daredevil stories ever, and keep in mind his run of 158 all the way past Death of Elektra is one of the best things that you will ever read. This is Frank Miller firing on all cylinders, and people just forget about this book.
And we have Daredevil Born Again coming out in March, and we have trailers recently causing an uptick of copies sold of 340%. Now, if you want to get the book for that reason, sure, but I don't think that's the reason to buy this book. No, it's just a freaking awesome book. Kingpin in this comic is such a G. Every single panel he's drawn in is superb. This comic is a masterpiece, and it'll make you like Kingpin even more just because of how badass and how villainous he is. There's a reason why he's one of the best at Marvel Comics. This is a reminder, though, that when we have announcements made that make you look at a book because of title only, that you shouldn't go ham on the book. When it was announced in, 2022? July, San Diego Comic-Con, that the series was going to be called Born Again, this book broke $600 in a 9.8. You can pick this up right now for under $150.
Now, while this Daredevil series may be called Born Again, keep in mind a lot of times on Disney Plus, they make it an amalgam of 3 or 4 different storylines. In the original Born Again, one of the major villains is Nuke, who ended up dying actually in Jessica Jones Season 2. They picked and chose a little bit of that. And while we very clearly know that Wilson Fisk is supposed to be mayor in the new Disney Plus show, he doesn't actually become mayor until 2017 in the Charles Soule run. But in the Charles Soule run, they introduce Muse, who we know is going to be one of the villains. So don't necessarily go really heavy on something where the name is Born Again, but something like First Appearance of Muse, that's a book that I would consider speccing on.
If you're looking for when Kingpin goes full mayor, you want Daredevil 28 from the Charles Soule run. And if you're looking for First Appearance of Muse, you're looking for Daredevil number 11. Hit the like button.
Number 6, we have a repeat offender, Earth X number 12. It's the first appearance of Shatilov as Silver Surfer. Fire Guy Ryan and I talked about this last week, and even though the prices are just about the same, we're reporting $40 average sales and $229 for a CGC 9.8. It's a 350% increase in copies sold. A lot of people going out here buying this book this week because of the anticipation for the new Fantastic Four movie.
The spec is going nuts on what's going down in this Fantastic Four movie, because we also have another book on the Trending 20, the larger list we source these 10 books from. Go to Key Collector Comics, use code TOM101, unlock a free 2-week subscription of the app. Yeah, you support the show, but you get access to this giant list we source the 10 books from. And we could have put Fantastic Four 57 on this list, which is when Dr. Doom acquires the power cosmic. So why do you think that book is spiking as well as Shatilov, Silver Surfer?
Well, Fantastic Four number 57 is where Dr. Doom steals the Silver Surfer's powers. And Fire Guy Ryan and I talked about this last week, that we don't really believe that Shatilov is going to be around a really long time, because Norrin Radd is the guy that everyone wants to see as Silver Surfer. How is he going to get the powers? Is he going to get them back from Doom? What's going to happen to Shatilov? Is she going to be a one and done, or are we going to see her more times?
What I like about this book, regardless of what happens to Shatilov, it came out in the year 2000. It's a $30 to $40 high-grade book. You don't have to break the bank on this Fantastic Four spec, and I can't say that about most FF keys.
And really, convention season's about to start, and if you start going to conventions and finding the people that sell the runs, you'll most likely find Earth X 1 through 12 someone who hasn't even repriced it, you might be able to get the whole run for less than $40.
Now we're taking you back to 1963 with a pricey, tough book to acquire. We have Fantastic Four number 13. First appearance of the Red Ghost. More importantly, first appearance of the Watcher. I would bet that it's more likely that we're going to see the Watcher in this movie than Red Ghost, but there are rumors that John Malkovich is going to portray this mad Russian scientist who utilizes superpowered apes to take on the first Marvel family. I don't see this happening, but this may just be a change of the character to include John Malkovich. And we do see a glimpse of him in trailer, but a lot of people are like, who is that guy?
There are multiple options for an old-timey scientist. I mean, I like to believe that it's Franklin Richards, and that's the reason why we're seeing Fantastic Four Annual number 6 on the trending 20 list over on Key Collector, which is his first appearance.
Could we be getting a Council of Reeds? You know, multiple versions. That's like some Hickman Secret War stuff, so that's kind of in line with what we could expect. Also, some people are noticing that they are failing to show us like Sue Storm's full body, leading people to believe that maybe she's pregnant with Franklin Richards throughout this movie. I mean, who knows?
Number 4 on the list, Wolverine number 8. Iconic cover. This great John Buscema cover. Rob Liefeld does the back. Everyone needs a copy of this in your personal collection. $100 average sales and $264 for a CGC 9.8. 192% increase in copies sold this week.
We got the Hulk as his Joe Fix-It persona, that gray Hulk, looking badass with Patch right on the cover. This book is actually really tough and high grade. I've seen a lot of 9/8s that do not look great because you got that blue cover on the front, notorious for spine ticks, and then the black, brilliant Rob Liefeld cover that also is prone to a lot of damages. Well, why is this book spiking this week 192%? It could be because the book is getting cheap. I mean, since the last time we chatted about this, there's been an increase on census count in 9/8 alone of 210 copies. Dude, I see this number everywhere. Shout out Madam Web. I'm going to say it every damn time.
I think this is one of those books that a lot of people used to keep raw, and now we're finding out that it's getting more and more expensive and people are willing to spend the money to get it graded.
Once we realized we were putting this book on the list, I couldn't help but think, like, why else would people be buying this book besides price? Because that's a good reason. That's why a lot of books make our lists. But man, what great spec this would be. Outside of the fact that it would make sense to see a different version of the Hulk in a movie where they're introducing a different version of the Hulk. We're getting Red Hulk in Brave New World. What if like the post-credit scene has Mr. Fix-It? We've already seen Patch in Deadpool Wolverine. And then I started thinking, there are like very few Mr. Fix-It keys. You know, you have this like first time that Bruce Banner takes on the persona, you know, and actually like the creation of Mr. Fix-It. That happens in Incredible Hulk 347. But the only other book that's kind of worth getting isn't even a key beyond the cover, and that's an Amazing Spider-Man 328, just a classic McFarlane book, which means Wolverine 8 is that big key, and people love this book.
And speaking of more Hulk, number 3 on the list, Hulk number 1 from 2008. $75 average sales and $260 for a CGC 9.8. It's a 271% increase in copies sold.
I'm going to give this slab away at the end of the video, and we also have to announce 5 other giveaways, so stay tuned. This book has been on Spec Radar since 2021, and the writer's strike happened, which only delayed it more. The reshoots last year happened, only delayed it more. Nothing has really gone well for this movie, but I still think there's potential in Red Hulk. We have Harrison freaking Ford, but we also have heights of $750 at 9.8 of this book.
For a modern book with so many copies on the census, we have almost 2,000 copies of a CGC 9.8 and 2,000 of a 9.6. We've even got 3 9.9s. Again, it's a modern enough book that I really don't think it needs to be a $700 book. 250 sounds about right for a 9.8.
An increase of copies sold of 271%. These are the last sales prior to the movie. You know, this is a rolling 7-day trend here that we're covering. So this is it. This is the last opportunity to grab the book before the movie debuts. Do you think it's going to go up after this weekend? Let me know in the comment section below. Well, we move on to number 2 on the list with Invincible number 51, the first appearance of that blue costume.
Invincible Season 3 is in full effect, and since the blue suit has been introduced this season, we are seeing a 300% increase in copies sold. Ryan Otley posted on Instagram and took the opportunity to reminisce a little bit about the creation of the blue suit.
Clearly, this was a major moment for not just Invincible, but for Ryan Otley as well. This was a change to the characters that they had never seen before. He had been on this title for years at this point, but then they have a new inker, they have a new colorist. Ryan is trying to hit deadline after deadline. So he's also pushing his creative abilities issue by issue. He talks about having to push himself to draw anatomy better and to be more dynamic.
With changes to the comic book as well as changes to the main character Mark, it was a perfect opportunity to change his costume color.
We have costume changes. We have moral changes. And we also have a book you can get for $15 and $2.25 at a 9.8. There's only 20 copies on the census. This is a book to go find and get graded.
A lot of this mid-run Invincible is just kind of ignored. There's a bunch of books in here that are $4 and $5 a piece, and people are always looking for them at shows, but you find these one or two major keys, and yeah, they spike and they're worth a lot.
$15 average sales, a 9.8 going for $225. There's only 29 eights on the census. Go find this book in high grade and get it graded yourself. Have you hit the like button yet? Do it for Comic Butch while we move on to number 1, the most trending book of the week. And it has to be because of the Super Bowl. And we're not talking Kendrick Lamar. We're not talking Drake. No, we're talking about Thunderbolts, Sentry, issue number 1. We're talking about Bob.
There was a lot of anticipation for this Thunderbolts trailer, and we are seeing a 660% increase in copies sold this week because we actually got to see the Void in effect and a small little glimpse of Bob Reynolds himself as Sentry. $80 average sales and $275 for CGC 9.8. This book we've been talking about for a very long time, and it is hotter than ever.
I worry that this character is just too overpowered to last longer than Thunderbolts. What do you think?
I agree. This is one of those things that he's just going to be a character that doesn't seem like you're going to hang your hat on him being around for quite some time. He didn't really do a whole lot in the comic books after the whole New Avengers run.
Now, we just got done talking about Invincible, and for a long time, the spec on Sentry was that it was going to be portrayed by Steven Yeun, the voice of Invincible, making this book have a very similar track record to Red Hulk. Now, I know Red Hulk came out in 2008, this book came out in the year 2000, but they're trending very similarly. We have heights of near $700 on both of these books. We have average sales around the $200 marker, and the same fears are felt for both characters. Will we see Sentry long-term? Will we see Harrison Ford long-term as Red Hulk? Who's to say? I want to know your thoughts in the comment section below. And of course, as always,
Geek response.
Enough said. Thanks for watching the video. Also, let's announce some giveaway winners. We're giving away a bunch of Absolute Batman. I'll tell you how to win this Red Hulk here in a second. If your name is Blake Morrow, check your phone. We also stream this video on Spotify and iTunes, so bear with us. We have to read a lot of numbers. But if your number ends in any of the following, 7159, 7943, 4105, or 9284, check your SMS. We may be sending you a book.
And if you want to be part of these giveaways and win free books, go over to comictom.com and sign up for the SMS list.
That's right. We source all of our giveaway winners from our SMS group, comictom.com. And this week's giveaway is this glorious Red Hulk first appearance on the cover, graded at a 9.2. Join the community, and I'll see you next week.